Here are 10 facts that'll help you understand and better appreciate fortified wines like port and sherry. What does it mean when a wine is fortified? It means that alcohol, usually a neutral distilled spirit or brandy, has been added to the wine to take its body, warmth, and sturdiness to that next level. Fortifying the wine also protects it from spoiling, which is a good thing because these wines are often aged for several years and even decades. What are the two most internationally known styles of fortified wine? Port and sherry. Port is a sweet red wine made in the Douro region of Portugal, and sherry is made with white grapes grown in the Sherry Triangle in Cadiz, Spain. Both are fortified with brandy or neutral distilled spirit, but at different times in the winemaking process. So port is fortified during fermentation and sherry after fermentation. What is the main difference between port and sherry? Well, aside from being fortified at different times in the winemaking process, port wines are always sweet, and sherries range from dry to sticky sweet. Given the sweet nature of port, they're best enjoyed with or after dessert. Sherries, depending on whether you choose a dry or sweet style, are delicious with appetizers, finger foods, and even ice cream. What is the most important grape varietal in port? Touriga Nacional. This is a small berried black grape varietal that's considered by many to be Portugal's finest and key to crafting the base wine blends used to make port. What are the two main styles in which port is made? Ruby and Tawny. Now, ruby ports are a rich, deep red in color and are the most simple, straightforward, and fruity of all the port styles. Oh, and by the way, if you like ruby port, try vintage port for a really elevated tasting experience. The other main style of port is tawny, which is pale brown or amber in color and quite oxidative in style. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, oxidative wines are those that have been deliberately exposed to oxygen during the winemaking process for the purpose of softening the tannins and introducing new flavors like coffee, vanilla, and toffee. So you can expect all of that deliciousness with a tawny port. Sweet, we are halfway there. Remember, you can keep studying more flashcards like these in the Brainscape app, which leverages spaced repetition to help you fortify your wine knowledge so much faster than any other learning or wine app. Describe the typical profile of a ruby port. Ruby ports are sweet, high in alcohol, low in tannin, full-bodied, and boast an intense mix of ripe red and black fruit flavors. These ports are made to be drunk young and not sit in your liquor cabinet for more than a few years. Is sherry made in a singular style or a broad range of styles? Sherry is made in a broad range of styles. One typically thinks of the Spanish libation as a sweet aperitif or digestive, but in reality, sherry is made in many different styles, from opaque and sticky sweet to pale and bone dry. What is the sweetest style of sherry? Pedro Ximénez. This intensely sweet, dark dessert sherry is made from the same named Pedro Ximénez grape, or PX, a white Spanish grape varietal grown in several wine regions throughout Spain, but most notably in the DO of Montilla Moriles. What are the three most important styles of dry sherry? Fino, Oloroso, and Amontillado. These dry sherries are made with Palomino, a white grape varietal from Andalusia in southwestern Spain. How are they made? Well, as with all wine, the grapes are first harvested and pressed. The juice is then fermented to dryness like a normal white wine. After that, the winemaker will taste the wine and decide whether it's destined to become a Fino or an Oloroso. If it's a Fino, the winemaker will fortify the wine to 15% ABV, which allows the flor to survive so that the wine can be biologically aged rather than oxidatively aged. Now, the flor is a layer of yeast that develops on the surface of the sherry when it's in the barrel, which creates an insulating protective layer over the wine, allowing it to very slowly oxidize. If the winemaker, however, decides it's an Oloroso, they will fortify it to 17% ABV and not 15%, which destroys the flor. The wine will then oxidatively age in barrel. Amontillado sherry starts as Fino, but the winemaker will re-fortify it a second time to kill off the flor, allowing the wine to then age oxidatively. In other words, Amontillado sherries are both biologically and oxidatively aged, and the results of all of this clever chemistry are dry sherries that have a delicious array of flavor and aroma notes due to their different aging techniques. What foods pair best with the three main styles of sherry? Fino-style sherries are best paired with fried foods and tapas. Think cured ham, almonds, olives, seafood, and tinned fish. By the way, this style of sherry should really be treated as a regular white wine. In other words, it's at its best in the first few days after being opened and should definitely be served chilled. Oloroso sherry is best paired with hard cheeses, nuts, pate soups, and lamb with mushrooms or olives. Pro tip, have a shot of Oloroso after you've had soup or even put it in your soup. Amontillado sherries are best paired with hard and smoked cheeses, chicken, chorizo, nuts, and richer tapas dishes like duck, rabbit, and sausage.
That's the end of your 10 flashcard study round. You can find hundreds more questions like these in Brainscape's collection of wine appreciation flashcards, or in our comprehensive flashcard collections for the WSET and Court of Masters Sommelier exams. And of course, keep listening to the rest of this hands-free playlist to massively level up your wine knowledge.